spirit of the animal has come back into the land. And thank the great God.
Welcome to episode 2 of our journey into the Eastern Cape, and the whole episode will deal with the rewilding of what was once one of the greatest wildlife parts of Africa. And today I talk about a gentleman who documented all that was there many, many years ago. And I'm going to read excerpts from him. And his man is C.J. Skeed. The book that he did and was given to me by a lecturer at the university here in Port Elizabeth. And I just looked at something in the front of the book here, and he said, "Adrian, congratulations on being the first private landowner to bring back black rhino to the Eastern Cape. Peter Norton, Cape Nature Conservation." And he was part of the university, and he was a great inspiration to me too. So it's about C.J. Skeed and the encouragement that I got from Peter. And when I looked at the excerpts from this book, it was quite remarkable to understand just how rich this part of South Africa was in wildlife. And I'd like to just read to you an excerpt from my friend C.J. Skeed's book, and it's called Buffalo, Upper Alexandria. In 1775, Sparman saw several on the Kearney River, and in 1779, Patterson saw them at Sandflats, now Patterson. William Patterson, in 1779, wrote that the country here is extremely beautiful and picturesque, very hilly, and the hills are shaded with impenetrable woods, the valleys well watered and covered with grass, which affords excellent pastures for cattle. Great numbers of quadrupeds inhabit this neighborhood, such as lions, panthers, which are obviously leopards, elephants, rhinoceros, buffaloes, and springbuck. So, when you just see and read what was really in this incredible part of Africa with great carrying capacity and everything else, and then we just see how the people, that was obviously the settlers and the population from Africa moved into the area and took away what was really a great part of this world. And so therefore, when reading this, the inspiration to be able to put back what was there became a great passion for me. And I really wanted to do this quite badly. So it would mean that we would have to put together quite a large number of farms. And the first part was just a minimalistic piece of 1,200 hectares. Then it became 3,000 hectares. And then not long after that, 11,000 hectares. And today, the area which has been rewilded is in the region of 25,000 hectares. And so it's called Shamwari Game Reserve, which was obviously founded by myself and our team. And I think that the real legacy of what we did there is that the Eastern Cape today is definitely a wildlife destination for Southern Africa. And basically, it was the first real area where you could see the big five, which we called malaria-free. So it had a lot of advantages. It was close to a port, close to the town of Port Elizabeth, and I think that it just all seemed to come together. And so the journey began. Having created the reserve, we opened it in 1992. And obviously at that point in time, all the big five weren't there, and only the big five got there in the year 2000. But when you consider it has to work, so you have to involve tourism. And without tourism and without your guests, the reserve's not going to work. So we had to go out and sell a story. And with the tourist today into Southern Africa is a huge part of our economy. And obviously in the current circumstances, we've just seen how that has been decimated. But tourism today, I believe, should be also focused on conservation and take it responsibly. And hence that in this journey, that's why I was very involved in the Wilderness Foundation, set up by Dr. Ian Player, and realizing that whatever we got out of it, we had to put back. And we wanted to put back through non-profit organizations like the Wilderness Foundation. And just recently, we've created our own foundation called the Community Conservation Fund Africa. And the reason that we've done that is we maintain that if the communities aren't involved in the work that we're doing, and we have a fence and they see people enjoying their side there and they're starving on the other side of the fence, we're going to have an issue. So we've got to work out a system, and we think we have, how we're going to involve those communities in benefiting from the tourist that comes to our products. And the tourism today has got to be marketed in a lot of different ways. We're competing with the world. But one thing that we have in Africa, and certainly in Southern Africa, is the wildlife and our big five. And you can't do that anywhere else in the world. So we have an attraction. We have great history. So we've got to market our country and be more profiled in terms of where we sit in the world. Because without the tourist, all that we're doing in the private sector and certainly in the state sector is not going to work. So we need to really work on that very professionally, and then get the tourists to contribute to conservation efforts that they can measure through non-profit organizations. And so the journey will continue with the reintroduction of the Big Five and the dramas that happened around it when elephants escaped and lions broke out and lions woke up in an aeroplane. And that, I think, you're going to find a very interesting part of our story. But I think I wanted to give you the history and to really emphasize that what we did was not just creating a park where animals weren't. It was rewilding what was there. And what it has proved to everyone is that the running and operating of a wildlife reserve is far more beneficial to both the local population and the economy. Because if you go back, and when I bought all the farms, there were 16 that were put together in the end, there were only about a maximum of 20 people employed. At its height, we employed over 350 people. Now that's just telling you about employment. It doesn't tell you about the multiplier effect to the economy, about the car hire, all the airfares that were bought, all the food that has to be bought to feed the people. So it's really showing you that the farming of wildlife, or the reintroduction of wildlife, is far better than the farming of cattle, sheep, and then even they try to grow tobacco and pineapples and all those sort of things in that area. So I think that the vision and that Skeed had, and the documentation that he put together has made the journey so much more interesting, because it's not a journey of us just guessing and thinking, did this happen, or what could we do? We really had a Bible that we could work from. And I'm just so very sad that I didn't manage to meet him, but I heard so many incredible stories about him, and I think we should all thank him most sincerely for documenting what was there so professionally. And I hope that you will enjoy the episodes that follow.
We